The Yeti Radio, powered by DavidLeeImaging.com. David Lee Imaging in the Titletown Music Archive and the Live 365 app.
Can you dig it?
The Yeti.
Can you dig it?
The Yeti.
Can you dig it?
The Yeti. Welcome to the Backstage Lounge on the YetiRadio.com.
Don't fuck it up.
That's right, we're on the YetiRadio.com, live in the Backstage Lounge with Deadly Virtues, Mr. Michael and Mr. Ben, live in the studio. And we're going to start things off with one of their singles off their album from May of last year. Here's Wrath from Deadly Virtues right here on the YetiRadio.com.
Yeah!
We're in Arizona. Wow. It's the Yeti Radio and the Backstage Lounge, Deadly Virtues. Mr. Michael and Mr. Ben, and welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for accepting the invite and coming all the way over here. Ben, you're from Yuma, right?
Been there 7 years.
Oop. 7 years?
Yeah,
Wow.
7 years in Yuma, 20 in San Diego, and grew up in West Texas.
All righty then. Cool.
All over the map.
All over the Southwest map. Oh, and Mr. Michael, where are you from originally?
Oh, man. Well, I graduated high school here in Arizona and then joined, the military. Obviously, I went to Virginia. I was in Japan for 3 years. I lived in New York City for a while. Lived in Sacramento, Virginia Beach. So, I don't know, everywhere. I'd say Arizona. Arizona's probably home.
Okay. Funny story. I was supposed to come here out of high school to go to DeVry. But I ended up here 20 years later. Something tells me I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
My wife would agree. Okay, and so you guys are originals
Yes,
for the
that's
band.
correct.
Awesome. Everybody that's affiliated right now are all originals for the band? Original members?
No.
Just you two. Okay.
Yeah, we're the two original members, and then we have a couple hired guns that we bring on and, play on
Okay.
a regular basis with, I would say.
Okay, cool. How'd you come up with the name?
Oh, man. Okay, so it was 2022, right? 23, around the time that we decided to form the group, and it was right around the end of COVID, right? And all this COVID stuff going on. And, the big hot mask debate. Everybody's talking about masks and who's wearing masks and who's not. And it became, in my opinion, right? I have to, in my opinion, disclaimer, it became very much a virtue signaling thing. And it was like, well, look how much better I am than this person because I follow the rules better and I follow them closely. And so Deadly Virtues became basically synonymous with you may think that you're doing things better than somebody else to show that you're more, what's the word I'm thinking of? More virtuous, I guess. And then at the end of the day, it really leads to, I would say hedonistic tendencies and self-driven tendencies instead of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Man, I can't think of it right now. You put me on the spot. But that's where it came
That's
from.
why I do these live.
Yeah.
There's an aura about this. And when you watch a video and you see the ticks from editing, it drives me nuts.
Yeah. No, it just
so-
basically it's a new movement. I should have looked it up before I got here. Basically, thinking that you're doing all the right things and all this, but then you think you're better than other people by aggrandizing it or showcasing it, and
okay.
so that basically became the.
We're going to talk about the woke movement.
Oh man, but yeah, that's basically where it came from, and so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in music yourself?
Oh man, I've been playing music since I was in grade school. I mean, I started out doing choir and band. I was a drummer. I started out as a drummer.
Okay.
And all the way up through high school, I was actually the choir president my senior year. I was an all-state show choir in Arizona my junior and senior year. Then I joined the Marine Corps as a Marine musician, so I was a percussionist and a vocalist and would sing and play there. And yeah, I mean, it's been a part of my life my whole life. And then I took a hiatus from music and actually was a dance teacher for about 7 years, a Latin dance teacher of all things. Yeah, yeah, I know. Before the beard, the hair was on my head, and I was a little bit skinnier and could move more freely. But I decided to pick back up the guitar, about 4 years ago. And ever since, the passion's just developed and I'm back at it. So
Sweet.
yeah.
What about you, sir? How long you been in music?
Man. Growing up in El Paso, played in about 3-4 little punk bands and just rock and roll bands from 17 years old to about 23. And moved to San Diego and, for work, stayed at Oregon for a little bit. And then a friend of mine who I used to play with in El Paso calls me one day. He's like, "Hey, I'm moving to San Diego. Want to start playing again?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." So my time in San Diego, I was there 21 years. I would say maybe my last 12 years there, I was playing with 3 different bands. And my buddy Jesse, played with him, his band, played in a little 90s cover band, and then played another band with some coworkers, all original outfits also. So when I moved to Yuma 7 years ago, all those bands kind of dissipated, and because I was, living over 2 hours away, and it was tough to find bands in Yuma. 'Cause most of the bands in Yuma are just all cover bands, playing, Friday, Saturday nights all night long, and it was just like, my thing's original. So I just retired last year, and so as soon as I retired, I started just looking around for ads and people needing bass players, and
Okay.
answered Deadly Virtue's ad.
Can I ask what you retired from?
Federal government.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. Threw me off for a second. Ever serve?
Never served.
Okay.
No.
Well, I saw some of the ink, so I'm like, and I didn't see any particular, but
Yeah.
just thought I'd ask because we love our veterans and
Oh yeah.
so what's some of your biggest highlights so far
Oh man.
as a band?
So when I auditioned, I was busting my butt to learn the songs, and he had told me, he's like, hey, I got a show at the Whiskey, and we have a show for Harley for Bike Week to a battle of bands. And I was like, oh, no way. And I'd never played at the Whiskey before, so I'm busting my ass learning the songs. And he tells me, he's like, hey, he's the bass player got, he's gonna play the show. And I was like, no. And so he was, your first show is gonna be the Battle of Bands. I'm like, perfect, that's cool. And 4 days before the Whiskey show, he calls me and he said, hey, I have some issues with my guitar player. Can you play bass at the Whiskey? I was like, hell yeah, So that was actually my first highlight with the band, just being able to play the Whiskey. So that was, I'd been there a bunch of times, never played. And then I think our last show at the Yucca.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one.
I thought we sounded really good. It got tighter. That first show was a little sketch. You're just like still getting spiderwebs out.
Right.
Because that was my first show in like 7 years. Since I moved from Yuma, and our last show, it came together. It sounded great. The sound guy did an awesome job at the bar too. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Yucca Tap Room?
yeah.
Okay.
Is that Jeff, I think, over there? Who runs usually the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing sound check, and I'm like, oh shit, that sounds badass.
There's a certain energy when
Yeah,
you're in that room, those small venues,
The only complaint I have over there is the lighting. Because again, I'd like to take pictures of the band so that I can post it and you have something immediate to use for whatever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the places. That's why I have the light box that I have now, because of places like that don't want to be nice with the lighting, because it reflects on them too. And I'm like, you'd think you'd at least want, halfway decent pictures.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Wrath. What was the inspiration and drive?
That's deep. So, I have split custody. That's
Okay.
the start of it. No, what really happened was I had a childhood friend that I'm a business owner, so my day job, I run a business, and I brought him into that business, and things kind of turned sour, and then got really ugly. And then it was just a time in my life where I kind of felt like all my close relationships were falling away, and just the frustration and anger of, you always feel like you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you're not getting it back, and it gets to a point where you're just like F you guys, and so Wrath was just kind of a frustration of wanting the reciprocation of relationships and working with people, and in the end, getting stabbed in the back or getting let down, right? And yeah, that was probably the foundation basis for the song. So
Okay. How long ago did you get out of the Marine Corps?
oh man, 2011.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So, and welcome to civilian life.
Yeah. Oh my God. no
Because that's wow, it's hard, And nobody will understand it other than us.
No.
Having to go from that mentality to the way things are out here for everybody else. And
Yeah.
it's different, and it's frustrating. And
It's frustrating.
so many people. My wife hates me. She loves me, but she hates me at the same time.
That's what I like to say. I love people, but I hate people at the same
Yeah.
time. It's a big dichotomy.
I'm not saying we're perfect by any means.
No. I know I'm
not one bit, but damn.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
Let's see. What do you got for musical inspirations when you were growing up and playing?
Let you start, Ben.
I'm all over the place, man. Shoot.
If you want to see all over the place,
I know.
finger
I've
through all
seen-
that.
Yeah, I just saw the iration sticker. I'm like, holy cow, you know. Yeah, I mean, my mom's from Mexico, so I grew up, listening to Mexican music, so went that route a little bit. But then, I mean, my junior high friends, it was like Motley Crue, Slayer, Metallica, Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was huge. I mean, man, I don't know how many times I watched that Power Slave tour on the VHS tape, and I used to have a little acoustic guitar, and I ripped off the A and the B string on it because I wanted to play bass. So I had this stupid little acoustic, and I'm watching Steve Harris play, and I'm trying to learn Iron Maiden songs while watching this. I'm like 12 years old at the time, and just different friends that you meet. It's like, hey, I like Depeche Mode. I'm like, oh, they suck. And then you listen to them and you see them live, and you're like, dude, they're amazing. Gosh, I mean, just the punk scene. We skated all through high school, so
Right.
got into Suicidal Tendencies, got into Dead Kennedys, the Misfits. I mean, name it.
Black Flag.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, just a little bit of everything. Country too. Dwight Yoakam's awesome. I like listening to him. But yeah, just all over. I mean, just music's just, I don't know, just opens up a lot of avenues and emotions, different feelings you're going through life.
Right.
So
Yeah. Music is it's a drug.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's science behind some of the audio sound waves, the four major ones, and I know of somebody that utilizes them in audible meditation. It works for me, let me tell you.
Sound
So-
healing, right?
I understand why certain songs feel better to your core than maybe some others. They're still good. They're just not that. Bone crusher's not the right term, but that core feeling that you get from something when you hear it is totally amazing.
Yeah.
Any odd rituals, pre-show rituals, after-show rituals? Anything off the wall?
Nothing I can say in public. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I like to warm up, and as weird as it sounds, I don't like warming up in front of people. And so I'll actually go in the car and I'll shut the car and start screaming and get my voice ready, and even driving to the venue, I'm singing and getting warmed up. And I want to be ready to go when you get on stage. It's go time, as for me, a life of performing in multiple venues and genres and types of performing, right? Whether it be theater, comedy, acting, musicals, dancing, right?
Right.
It's very therapeutic for me. I enjoy entertaining others. I enjoy getting on stage, and it's like showtime, and it's truly a passion to do it. And so when I do it, I want to make sure that when I get on that stage, they get what they came for. It's not like, oh, hey guys, we're ready to go and drink your beer. Like it's boom, we're here. It hits you in the face, and then we got you, right? We got you for the whole show, and then by the end of the show, it's like, wow, that's what I want, right? The end of the show, like that was an experience, not just, oh, that was a good band, And so that's kind of my pre-show rituals. I don't. What about you?
You got any bass riffs you rip through to get warmed up?
no, not really. Just the Deadly Virtue songs, just like I'm still learning the
Finger
stuff, and
exercises,
it's been awesome. You know, I think it's my third show. After third shows, you know, my 3 shows with Daily Virtues, and now it's been fun. You know, like I said, it's for me getting back into it after being away for 7 years. It's just like, wow, you know, it feels great.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Back to your vocals, because this guy,
Oh man.
Tom Kiefer,
Yeah.
11 surgeries
Wow.
to fix left side vocal paralysis. How do you take care of your voice? You're more extreme than that, as far as
Oh man.
because that shows the desire and the passion to do what you love, to go through all that, to still be doing it.
Yeah.
In fact, coming into the Valley, I want to say in September, but and you're at a different level. How do you take care of that? How do you? I get the warming up part, but
Sure.
that's everything. That's
Yeah.
working out. That's dancing. That's gymnastics. It's
Yeah.
For some people, it's drinking coffee.
That's a warm up for me too. Got to lube the joints, get ready for the day. So for me, background wise, I was like I said, I was a choir president in high school, and I got opportunities when I did like all-state show choir. I was Glee before Glee even existed. Like I was doing that stuff, and then it came out 15 years later, or 10 years later. But I got an opportunity to work with some really incredible vocal coaches, and I was a classically trained tenor, and so I've sang Italian operas and arias and French and Spanish, German, all that stuff, and musical theater. But the screaming, ironically, if you ever look at videos of Marine Corps boot camp, right, and being a Marine, we'd always joke around with that drill instructor voice, be like, okay, get over here now, and I guess the years of just messing around with it, you find a way to comfortably do it. And then as I started writing music, and metal's always been my biggest passion as far as music goes, right? And I have a diverse background in music I love too, from classical to Latin to country and you name it. But when I got into metal, this first album was really, it was a very vulnerable point for me, because it was like, I've never done this before. It was like the first, everything I got, this is it, it's either good or bad. And, luckily we've had really good, feedback from people. But as far as singing technique, as I like the saying goes, right? It's kind of like they say with relationships, right? It's kind of like a fart. If you force it, it's probably shit. And it's kind of the same thing with vocals. It's like, if you're forcing it, it's not the correct way to go about it. And you're going to have, if you get into vocal pedagogy, you're going to have back pressure, right, on the vocal cords, depending on how high you're singing and all that stuff. So breath management's a big part of it. I started finding out over time that like fry screaming, you start learning about techniques that are actually out there, and people are talking about, like, yeah, it's called a fry scream, or false vocal cords and things like that. And so started watching some of those videos, and a lot of it honestly is if it feels good, then you're doing it right? If you're forcing yourself, or you feel raw or sore or anything like that, you need to reapproach how you're doing it, because it's not going to last, right? And that's the thing is, a lot of people think when you're screaming, and don't get me wrong, there's songs that I'm 100% out there doing it, but not every song, all screams are like all the way you got, right? It's a vocal technique, right? Okay. And I think a lot of people get lost in that. They're like, these guys are just screaming their head. No, they're not, because they'd be hoarse. You do one show, you're done.
Why? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, so there's a method to the madness.
Absolutely, method to the madness. It is a vocal technique, not an overdoing of it, if that makes sense.
No, that's beautiful explanation. Thank you. So what's your songwriting process? Because your first album you worked on since 22?
Yeah, I started writing in 22, 23, and with Brian, the lead guitarist at the time. And I don't know, for me, as a former trained musician, right, professional trained musician, like I understand chord progressions, I understand all that stuff. I've learned all 48 scales and all that, but I think a lot of guys, they sit down there like, this is going to be the progression for the song, and it just, that doesn't work for me. Honestly, I like to sit down with my guitar, and I'll either noodle until I have something that I like, or I sit down as a therapy almost. And when I have certain strong emotions, anger, sadness, happy, whatever the case may be, that's when I use my guitar as that therapy, and I noodle around until I get that raw feeling that I'm trying to convey on the guitar with what I'm feeling at the moment. And so then it'll be like, I record everything. I probably have 100 hours of videos of me just twanging away on the guitar, But what I do is I catalog everything. And so I like one idea, I'll go back and be like, I like this riff, I'm going to go develop it. And it's just, you just keep working at it like a sculpture, right? Or an artist painting a picture. You might start a picture and then you don't touch it for 6 months. And then you get inspiration, like, oh yeah, I see it. And boom, now they're going to town, right? And they're finishing that picture and then they're like, something's not right. It could be all done except one dot. And they'll be like, it's just not ready. And then you come back and you finally have that thought, or you have that phrase, or you have that lyric, whatever it might be. And you go, that's it. And boom. Yep. You compress it together.
And there it is.
And then, and then you get to the studio, and the studio is a grindhouse process, right?
Right.
You get it all out raw, right? And then now it's like, oh man, production wise, like, do I want more of this? Do I want to add more reverb? And that starts a whole nother exciting journey of finishing the production. But the original songwriting intent, I would say, yeah, I just sit down and noodle and write lyrics based off of the emotions that I'm feeling at the time, and just kind of working, piecemeal it together until you have a full song. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Then you're just waiting. Are you guys working on new stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike's already sent me a couple songs. He's like, check this one out. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're getting to work you into a you song, I should say, instead of a you into one of their songs. It's I hope I'm not saying it wrong.
Yeah, Ben will be helping compose on this new album.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be good stuff, man. It's the new single, actually. This is the first time I'm mentioning it publicly to anybody, but our new album is going to be called Capitula Vitae, which is Latin for chapters of life.
Okay.
And so, the whole point of the album is to talk about experiences that everybody goes through, these life-changing or life-reaffirming or whatever you want to call it, chapters that you go through. And I think everybody goes through different life experiences. They go through a majority, I think, the same life experiences. It just happens to everybody at different times. And so you might have an abandonment problem when you're a child versus when you're 45 years old and you get abandoned, right? Or somebody leaves you versus, if you've been betrayed by a friend and it happens at 35 versus a guy who did it in high school. I think everybody generally goes through these chapters, these emotions, right? And I'm not saying everybody's the exact same. Everybody does have unique stories, but the greatest lesson of that is, everybody goes through those major events. And so Capitula Vitae is about that. And so the first single coming up, I'm trying to get it out by May 31st, which will be the anniversary of the album release from last year.
Okay.
What we decided to do is the whole album, obviously it's English, right? We're singing in English, but every song title is in Latin. And so for this new single, it's I think I'm saying this right, Per Vitrum Ambulans, which is Latin for walking through the glass. And so the song is about, I want to say, almost like abusive relationships, where you're in a situation where you just feel like almost like walking on eggshells. That's kind of the analogy for it. And so, yeah, actually hitting the studio next month. We're going to start laying down tracks, and hopefully we'll have it produced and out to market by the end of May. So
the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Holy shit.
No, not the whole album. Not the whole album, just a single. Just a single.
Okay.
No, whoa. Surprise, man. Guess what?
How much studio work did you say? God damn. That's what I was getting out of that. I'm like,
we sleep on the floor.
Oh. There's a room with bunk beds in it.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, we have that single coming out May 31st, and then another one following up right behind it called the Lazarus Effect, or Phenomenon Lazare, and that's going to be about second chances on life.
Are you parenthesizing the translations when you put it on an album, or when you the song?
Oh, like next to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would make it easier. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because I'm like, I want it to be like Solitarius Nox, right? Which is about like the lonely night, going through a dark phase of your life and feeling alone. And I don't know. I'm on the fence about it because it's like, yeah, I want it there. It's like Per Vitam Ambulance. And you're like, what is that? Oh, walking through the glass, right? Or walking,
now I got to copy and paste.
walking
and
on
read.
glass, right? Or do you make people look it up?
Right.
Do you say go find out? Like go read, go learn something, So I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to brainstorm it.
Well, I've had on the show that I do, the Wide World of Music, I've had a couple of bands from Spain and Italy. I've had to look up the
name of the song.
The name of the song because I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was going in that direction, so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's cool. Let's see. We did that. Okay. What makes you unique?
I'm just kidding. Oh man, that's. I don't know. What do you think? That's a toughie.
Well,
What makes
okay,
us
May
unique?
31st, 2024, you released your first album
Yes.
that you'd worked on for about a year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half in writing and production.
How long before you went to the whiskey? When was the whiskey show?
Oh, December. Yeah, so we released May 31st, and we played Whiskey December, and that was cool. That was quite an experience.
That's not easy.
No,
That's impressive.
We've had some pretty good success, I would say, as a new group, and like our Spotify numbers have been climbing pretty good, recently. We just got off the conference call with Red 13 Records out there in New Hampshire, and
Okay.
we're talking about opportunities and how we can grow with them, and yeah, I don't know. It's strange for me. It feels like divine purpose, if that makes sense.
Okay.
In 2022, when we were just messing around as a cover band and writing originals, I almost got hit by a bus in L.A. walking down the sidewalk. I was walking down Sepulveda, right? By the airport? Yeah. Sepulveda? How you say it? Yeah, Sepulveda. And a utility truck veered off the road and hit a rental, flat front bus that knocked it onto the sidewalk. And I mean, Final Destination style.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Man, I look, and it was first a shock of there's a bus on the sidewalk, right? And then I by the grace of God, man, I looked to my right, and there was an open construction fence grating, and I just ran in as fast as I could. By the time I turned around, the bus was going by, and it went back onto the road, took out a power box, and then ran into a pole and stopped.
Wow.
And that was talking about phenomenon Lazari, right?
Right.
The Lazarus effect. It's like a second chance. And that really kicked it in gear. This is a purpose for me. This is something I need to 110% steer into. And I got to be honest, we've been very fortunate, in our success and our support, and it's been phenomenal, And so, yeah, I think something that would make us unique is being an all-original group, right? We're very, very true to ourselves. We're very raw, and we have our influences, from all different kinds and styles. But I think some people say we're heavy metal, metalcore, right? Somewhere in that genre. But I think we span a pretty healthy gamut of the style, right? Of metal in general. I mean, if you listen to Living with Ghosts, it's very much an 80s metal ballad, right? Which was written when my mom passed away. Or, you listen to Four, which has Dimebag Darrell influence. Or then you listen to Deadly Virtues and you hear the Killswitch Engage influence. And so I think what makes us unique is we can fit pretty much into any metal genre with the well, I can't even say that because Per Vitam Ambulance is Static X style vocals and, I won't say deathcore because we don't have the breakdowns like deathcore does, but it fits well in multiple places. So I guess that's what makes us unique as a group is that we have that ability to blend in with other groups that we play with, depending on what subgenre they're in, and we can find a song or two that would fit their liking or their genre. So
Okay. Very cool. Let's see. I'm sure the inspiration for the lyrics are going to come probably about the same as the writing the riffs and whatnot. But when it comes to the lyrics, is it just more feeling, more in the now, or past or present or future? possibilities or?
So I was weird as a kid in 7th, 8th grade. I had like lyric books. I was listening to pop punk and Blink-182 and writing the girl who left me in class and the girl who broke me up or whatever. And then I'm a big fan of poetry. I do like poetry, and so lyrics are actually a really big deal for me. Like, and you can write a good song about cheeseburgers, right? If you wanted to, right?
Cheeseburgers in paradise.
Hell yeah. There you go. And so, it's not so much you can't write a good song without good lyrics or serious lyrics, right? You can write a song with anything. But for me personally, the lyrics, I want people to feel something when they listen to our music, And yeah, fun, obviously, and enjoy themselves, but there's a message with everything that we play and everything that we do. And there's somebody out in the crowd always that has something they can relate to with what you're talking about. And I think that's the connection that I enjoy. And that's something that I want to hear someday is, thousands of people singing that song with me, all for different reasons.
Or sing it loud enough they shut you up.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's a way to relate to people, and yeah.
Let's see. How would you rate your scale of 1 to 10? Your 3 shows so far: the whiskey, the Bike Week competition, and then Yucca.
Yeah, we played Backstage. Actually.
Okay, you played the Backstage. All right.
Yeah, for the Nevada Cannabis Awards Music Festival.
Okay,
we ended up doing a set there. That was our second show. So I mean, it depends. In what terms of
just how
enjoyment, or
how you guys enjoyed it. Was there anything that made it better or worse than other shows, or?
The whiskey for me was just iconic being there on that stage, and I was still fresh. That was my very first show coming back after 7 years. So I was like, holy shit, what the hell am I doing?
One hell of a way to come back.
God, yeah.
Right?
So yeah, that was a little nerve-wracking, but and then playing at Scottsdale Harley for Bike Week, that was fun because it's just you're playing with so many bands in different styles, and it was just awesome being in that mix again, and not heavy band after heavy band after heavy band. It was just a whole different range of musicians, and that was fun. I loved that one. That was good. And then I think my last show, like I said, the tap room, we just sounded tight. I was like, okay, fun. now it's getting better where it's you're feeling more comfortable with the music. Well, I mean, it's for me since I'm still kind of the new kid on the block, but
yeah, I don't know. For me, like whiskey was an iconic moment. It's a little different, because that's a little bit before my time, generation-wise, about 5-10 years. I was in the 90s when nu metal was starting to come out and all that stuff, Right. And of course, I'm a fan of the crew and all the greats that have gone through there, and the history and whatnot was really neat. But I have to say, like Ben mentioned, energy-wise, small venues where you pack 300 people in a room and it's sweaty and dark and people are just moshing and they're into it. I love it. I eat it up. And, I enjoy the big stages too, but it's a whole nother vibe. It's the difference between him and I standing 5 feet apart and my sweat is dripping from my bill and we're headbanging and we're into it. And then we're on a stage where he's 30 feet over there, right? And I'm basically performing by myself. Right.
At least it feels that way.
Yeah, like I'm by myself, and I'm like,
oh, I'm so lonely
over there. Yeah, and I got your in-ears. You're like, thank God, because otherwise you're screwed. And I'm just like, oh man, they both have their upsides. I don't know. I remember as a kid watching when Korn did the DVD special at CBGB's before they closed, and that raw, just straight energy. The passion, the energy, the crowd. I watched that, and then to do it at the Tap Room. Tap Room has a special place in my heart, man, because that was our first ever show. And so I love him down there at the Tap Room, and, hopefully we'll be doing a show there. the first show, we actually ran it as our own event. And so we had a band out of San Diego who was a fan of our music, actually, came out on their own and wanted to open for us. And so Subjugator, check them out. These young kids out of San Diego, phenomenal musicians. And I hope we get to play with them again in the future.
Well, if you bring them back to town, we can double it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. Well, and I'm trying to make it an annual event, you know. So we called it the Night of Metal Mayhem at the Tap Room. And ideally, I'd like it to develop into a day-long festival where we close off the parking lot, get some vendors, have bands playing all day at the Tap Room. That would be amazing, you know. But yeah, hopefully we can recreate that event. At least get a couple bands in there, some more metal, heavy metal, metalcore fans, right, to come and just pack in like sardines and start moshing around, start moving, you know.
Sweat all over each other.
Yes, swing that sweat, man.
So hopefully I get to go to the Backstage Bar and Billiards.
Yeah.
In May, because we have some bands that are going.
Yeah.
Describe how that is. Describe the bar.
Oh man, it's an amazing
atmosphere.
It's an amazing venue, man. Ava, she does an amazing job running that place, and it was a real big deal for me because, like I said, our first show was a tap room, and like the tap room stage is like the size of this room, right? So you're in it and you're gritty, and then you get there, and that was the first like, whoa! It's like, oh, this is big. Like, you know, there's all this room, and you know the stage is bigger, and you got all the lighting and all that stuff, you know, the back set, you know, and I loved it. I would love to go play Triple B again, and you know, I just, yeah, it was quite an experience. If you had never been, you're gonna have a good time. It's a great venue.
Awesome. If I get to go, I have a lot to do while I'm there, so because I have friends and family there, and we're trying to make some connections and get some more opportunities to be able to send people to go. Yeah. You know, because I think we're getting ready to make a huge statement in the entire industry from this state.
Hopefully.
And that's the rumor. And the way things are starting to look already, I'm like, oh Jesus,
it's popping off.
I can't keep up. And it's only me, so you know, if I ever fall behind on something or if I miss something, don't get mad at me.
You're good, man. It's all good.
Let's see. I knew I had it right here. I keep losing my spot. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Which I got to give you props too. This is a badass little space, man. I got to be honest.
Thank you.
You know, this is super cool in here. I'm still tripping out and trying to like, oh, what? You got Breeze or Breeze jerseys and records and vinyl. This is a cool thing, man. This is very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've outgrown it because there's a lot more, and I'm trying to get moved into the garage, but that's a task in itself. That's bigger than me, and I'm working on it slowly but surely. I think right now the biggest hurdle is time.
Yeah.
But because I've got to get the gate put in outside, then I've got to get the sign built for it. I've got to do the insulate the attic over the garage because for whatever reason they didn't do the garage when they did everything else.
Of course.
Cutting corners. And then I need to run 3 more power lines, 1 220 and 2 ISO 110s for the freezer and the refrigerator.
Yeah.
That way, because because this is on that circuit, and
gotcha.
I'm probably pushing it a little closer now. So to take some of that off and to make it run smoothly would be perfect.
Yeah.
But then it'll have its own little entrance.
We got to get you one of those booth lights, the on air, right? Boop, and put it outside of the garage. People drive by, like, what?
Jacuzzi.
Hey, there you go. Fridge, jacuzzi. Hey, here it is. I love it. That's awesome.
What's your favorite song for your first album to perform?
Oh, you start because
Yeah, you're the one that had to learn all of them after the fact.
Yeah, that I gotta do. That's hard.
I don't know. Every time I'm in my room going through them and learning them, it's like one pops up and I'm like, oh, that's such a badass one. And then I'll go to the next one, I'm like, oh man, if I'm playing that one too. Shoot. Ascension's good. I like that one. God. I don't know.
It's hard because you always hear like people be like, well, these are singles, right? This is what we lead with, and then this is the rest of the album. I vehemently hate that methodology. It's like if every song you put on that album isn't a single to you, it shouldn't be on the album, in my opinion. And so I don't know, they all have a special place in my heart. Obviously the fans, have their, feedback on what they like and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Our biggest song right now on Spotify, and the reason I say Spotify is, it's most relatable to people, is Living with Ghosts, right? The ballad of all things.
Right.
We're a heavy metalcore band, but our ballad took off. And I will say Deadly Virtues, when we first came out with it, I actually remember Brian and I were talking. He's like, dude, we need to write a song. It's like anthemic. And I said, we already did. And he goes, what do you? I said, dude, it is an anthem. It's something you sing along to, very much an anthemic style song. And yeah, that actually had the most plays initially. And then when we had to upload the album, Spotify and all their wisdom, they reset your count. And so we lost all those plays and had to start over. We were at like 1,800 and going, and then back to zero. And now we just broke 1,000 again with Deadly Virtues,
right?
And we're trying to push everything else up now and market it. But that's hard, man. It just depends on the mood. And
so what I could add is with Mike, the way he writes, it was a little. I thought it was difficult for me at first, but one of the first bands I played with my buddy, I played with him for years, and we'd get together, he'd show us a song, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the bridge. All right, he'd give us the chords, learn it, and then we tried several times, and then once we felt comfortable, we'd do our own thing. He'd let us do our own thing, and it was cool. Another band I played with, the guy would send me the tablature for his guitar parts, and he's like, you just learn them. I said, okay. So he gave me the paper and send me an email, and all right. With Mike, he goes, I'll send you the songs. He goes, here's this website, this app. The notes will come out. Moises, yeah.
Moises, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Moises, Moises.
Right. So I plug it in, and the song plays, and at the top the notes are popping up. I was like, oh shit, this is kind of cool. But when I noticed, when I was learning the songs, it's yeah, you got the intro, you got a verse, you got the chorus, and then it'll go back to the verse, but the verse is played different than the last time. So he doesn't play the same notes or the same. He'll add a little touch of something else, which is kind of unique. That
So it's not.
There's the unique thing right there.
It's not as repetitive.
No, very very unique in the songwriting style. Yeah,
okay.
I would say.
Yeah, so that was, like I said, pretty refreshing, and like I said, first time getting back into the music, it was just like, oh man, this is a little difficult, but then I was like, oh, this is fun. It's kind of cool the way he writes his stuff.
Okay. So they're all your babies.
Oh yeah.
Not because the question is, there a song that you hate to perform, and I don't like the way that's worded.
Yeah.
Because
covers.
Well, yes. But is there one that you have written and that is more difficult to play than the rest of your songs? Let's put it that way.
Living with Ghosts.
Living with Ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played that one live.
We've never played it live.
We've played the whole album live except for that song.
Yeah.
And I love the song. I think it's great. But yeah, hearing it, I think it hits a chord in him emotionally. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, when I see numbers, I see a lot of people listening to that
already,
song. I see a lot of people listening to that song too on social media. So it's kind of like, maybe we can't play that song live. But so it's his baby.
Apparently, you need to figure out how to get over that. And play it live.
Eventually, it's hard, because like when we're doing down and dirty shows like the Yucca Tap Room, and you say we're doing a 6-song set, you don't want to kill the vibe of the set by going to a ballad on song 3 or 4, right? And then you're trying to finish strong. So for me, it's like if we're going to play it, I want it to be a part of our tour show where it's like we go, we play. The whole album was written to be an emotional roller coaster from front to back. And I encourage anybody who checks out Decay of Society to listen from track 1 all the way through to the end, including Into the Abyss, which Into the Abyss is, God, I love the ending. It's the quintessential like wrapping up the show song, you know, with the long scream and the everything, man. I love it. But that would be the hard one is Living with Ghosts, I would say, because, you know, emotionally, you know, with my mom passing away,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
it's getting easier now, you know, as time goes on, time heals, right? But yeah, all the other ones we get down, you know.
Right.
Ghosts, I think, only because of the emotional for personal reasons,
Okay.
you know. But we'll get past it and we'll get it out there. It's coming. Don't worry, people. It's coming soon.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened on stage or during a show?
Yeah.
No?
I mean, besides like simple stuff like, you know, stepping on your your guitar cable, your patch cable, and having it pulled out, or you know, forgetting to turn off my tuner. So like, you know, the band starts and I'm like, it's so hollow, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, take it off, you know. But I would
Damn
say,
it.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I hope they don't catch that, you know. I don't know, man. I've been performing my whole life for so long in so many different areas that you roll with it, you know.
Right.
I mean, from like doing theater shows where the last show of the night you get slapped the shit out of you, you know, in the face, and it's like, oh, everybody's like, oh, you're the whole crowd gasp, and you roll with it, right? To, you know, microphones falling down and having to bend over and pick them up, and it's hard because you want to keep that professional image, right? And so I beat myself up a lot, especially after shows. I'm like, man, we could have done better, and I'm always like, next time, you know. And we do good shows. It's just I'm a bit of a perfectionist a little bit, so.
Well, and I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But it's live.
Yeah,
And shit happens.
I know, and that's where I
And
gotta
that's,
learn to relax a little bit on that side of it, you know. So
Unfortunately, I think I've relaxed too much on it. And I had to personally tighten back up because it became a reoccurring thing, and I'm like, okay, now we can't be reoccurring with this shit.
yeah.
When I'm doing stuff here.
Last show at the tap room was fun. You know, I wasn't expecting it, but you know, you're jamming and you look around and crowd had a little mosh pit going on. I'm like, oh shit, there's moshing inside the tap room. So that was kind of fun, you know, seeing that.
Sergio, man, Sergio. So there's a band down in Tucson called Of the Lost, and I encourage everybody to check them out. It's like a Pink Floyd influenced hardcore sound, and they're playing all over the place, and I'm happy for them. They're just taking off. But Sergio, he plays guitar with them, and man, I told him, like, during Wrath, he was doing a solo, I'm like, man, get down and dirty, dude. I said, get in the crowd, get in, own it. And sure, you know, we're playing, and he breaks down the solo. He jumps off stage into the mosh pit, playing his solo. It was phenomenal. So, Sergio, if you're listening, man, you freaking killed it. I love you, buddy.
Jared too.
Keep it up. Yeah, Jared Fraun, who's, you know, filled in on tours with like Bless the Fall, major groups. He's playing Warped Tour over the summer, an extremely talented drummer. And the second he came in and started playing, and don't get me wrong, the guy before, Berkey, who plays with Sergio in his band down in Tucson, he did a great job too. But Jared just came in, and it just went to a whole nother level, man, because he's played Warped Tour, he's played major festivals, he's played with big professional acts, you know, that put on these shows, and you can tell, man, when Jared comes, he comes hard, and he plays hard, and yeah, it's a real privilege to have those guys help us get our music out there until we can find a permanent member to call home, you know. So
Absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and break for. Well, we'll talk about it first, real quick. Ascension. What was the inspiration behind Ascension?
I would say determination. You know, after the bus incident, right, as I call it, it really felt like divine providence. Like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is where I'm going. And so Ascension, you know, I will not be kept from my own destiny, right? And Yeah, I would say just sheer determination that, like, you know, no matter what, we're gonna make it to the top. We're not stopping until we make it to the top. I want to hear Slayer, Metallica, Deadly Virtues, and so it's lofty goals, man.
Right?
But,
Absolutely.
you know, what's the famous saying? I can't think on the spot right now, but Les Brown, right? Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, at least you land among the stars. And I
Right.
really like that saying. So that's kind of the whole thing about Ascension.
Absolutely. Back to the Final Destination bit with the bus.
Yeah.
And the way I see it after watching all the movies,
Oh.
Final Destination is just walking around in life and paying attention. Because if you watch the videos of people walking around with their phones and
Yeah.
they fall into the hole,
Yep.
eh.
Yep. Awareness of your surroundings, man. It'd keep you alive.
Oh, yes. A whole lot longer.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, better chances.
Here's Deadly Virtues and Ascension right here in the Backstage Lounge on the YetiRadio.com. Deadly Virtues in the Backstage Lounge on the YetiRadio.com. Welcome back, everybody. That was Ascension. And, silly, crazy stuff. Where's your, I know you like the Yucca Tap Room. You haven't played enough for me to actually ask this next question. So, name of some local venues you would like to go play at in the near future.
Local venues here in Phoenix area?
Yeah.
You know more than I do.
I saw In Flames at the Van Buren, and if we can get the people in there, that would be a really cool one to do. We're doing the 44 actually next month on the 25th with King Cherry and Rattlesnake Suitcase and Zara, I think is the name of the band. But we'll be closing that show out going on around 10:30, 11, and I don't know. Like you said, we're still new. We're still just trying to get booked, honestly, and find the right venues and the right crowds to be booked with. But like the Nile Theater, we still haven't played the Nile. Just because in high school I used to go all the time to the Marquee, right? Like I saw Disturbed at the Marquee, so that's kind of an iconic, like, I'd love to play the Marquee. And all those venues, the Crescent Ballroom, pretty much everything that's not an arena, but not just like a bar of 50 people, somewhere in the middle, right? Where I'd say, I don't know how many people you think the Marquee holds.
You probably
like 1,200, 1,000, maybe.
You probably get about 3 in it, maybe.
300?
No.
Oh, 3 grand. Okay. I thought it was bigger than that. Yeah. So, not massive, but I like that intimate element, I really like that closeness with the crowd and the raw energy, and anything that gives that vibe off, I definitely want to play it. I mean, can you think of any venues up here that you're gunning to do?
The only ones popping up in my head are venues in San Diego.
What about in Yuma? Is there anything in Yuma?
Man, no, Yuma's real small. There's a
Marine Corps Air Station.
Yeah, there's a kid that does shows, and he's gone to different venues because either one will close and another one opens up, and he'll move. There's a kid in Yuma's he kind of promotes for a venue, and then that'll die off, and he'll move to different venues. So right now they're booking shows at a place called Taros Chicali or something like that, and they're bringing in some pretty good band, nationwide bands. So it was kind of interesting. I'm like, that'd be cool. So, reach out to him. San Diego, there's always Brick by Brick. It's a great venue for metal and stuff like that.
Okay.
Music Box.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one, but that would be cool. Yeah, Casbah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's just. We used to play House of Blues a lot. One of the bands I played with in San Diego. So it was House of Blues, Brick by Brick. We'd play out a lot, and it's been fun. But yeah, I mean, there's so many venues out here. Also in Phoenix area, you got everything. You got Maricopa, you got Glendale, you got
Yeah.
You got the whole valley.
Yeah.
4.5 million people and growing. So
yeah.
I think that's the only thing that we lack here on becoming the next big movement is the whole feel, vibe, and construct of Pioneer Square or Bourbon Street, that type of. I know we had Mill Avenue, but it's done whatever it's going to, because it's the college part of town.
Yeah.
Nothing against that part of anything.
No. But they have their thing, right?
Well, where the Yucca's at, I looked at that place and I had an aneurysm. God, I wish I could win one of them stupid lotteries, because there'd be so many venues right there.
Oh yeah, with all the empty storefronts, that would be an amazing live music area. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that's what Pioneer Square was. It was a bunch of different venues. You pay the first cover and it gets you into all of them.
Oh wow!
So you can go, but the metal guys only go to the metal shops,
right?
The reggae guys only go to the reggae shops. Because there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
People with blinders when it comes to life and music and everything else.
Sure.
But that's their choice, Not everybody's open-minded and listen to all of that and then some.
Tribalism, right?
That kind of reminds me of there was a spot in Tijuana we used to go to. It's called Zona Rio. and there was multiple bars in that little area, and it was all different genres. You know, you'd have the punk rock scene, you'd have the reggae guys, you'd have the norteño guys. You know, it was a little bit of everything. So they have your banda. So it was a cool little, it's an awesome little area where you just have different genres of music, man. You just go and check the bands out. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where things can grow faster for a scene when you have, because somebody's going to come to see somebody, but then they're going to get caught on something else, and it's just, there's just more in an area like that, and that's what having to drive. There's this brick comedian. I think he's a comedian. I don't know. He likes to do the differences between England and America.
Okay.
And one is we don't measure distance by miles. We measure distance by time. So having to drive 45 minutes to get somewhere to do a show it's 45 freaking minutes. And like for me, time is everything, because even when I go out to dinner, I get my wife gets mad at me because I get upset when the wait's longer than 45 minutes. And why didn't you build a bigger restaurant? Right. If you're that good, build a bigger restaurant, you know, and section it so that you can shut it down when it's not busy. And when it's busy, open it up, and now you do more. But I don't know. That's why I'm probably not a very good business owner.
Well, what was weird is I was talking to somebody recently, and we were talking about the Phoenix scene. And, you know, unfortunately, he was like, a lot of national touring acts, they'll skip Phoenix completely because it just, the ticket sales between going to LA, San Diego, Las Vegas, even Albuquerque, you know, they seem to have better luck selling shows and getting people in the door. And for some reason, Phoenix, you know, I won't put any names out there, but this person I was talking to has been in the scene for 10, 20, 30 years, you know, said Phoenix, it's always been a struggle to get people out, to get them to come out and to dedicate to come to a show, unless it's Talking Stick Arena, you know, or a casino show or something like that. So
State Farm Stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to pay $10,000 for a ticket? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, whatever.
I don't even think it's called Talking Stick anymore, is it? You can change the name. Cricket Pavilion.
Oh yeah. Auction.
That's
Pavilion.
the recent one.
Man. If you could go play anywhere in the world, I win a stupid lottery, I'm taking Deadly Virtues as one of the bands with me. You get to pick one of the spots. Where are we going?
I feel like if I give this away, someone else is going to do it. So I'm making an official disclaimer that if anybody anywhere sees this, it was my idea first, and I'm going to be really angry. But I found out that in Romania, right, Vlad the Impaler, right, his castle is actually still owned by the royal family. And it was Google or Microsoft, I think it was Google, held a Christmas party at Vlad's castle, and they rented it out for the evening. And I'm sure it was $500,000 or something ridiculous, but I want to do a metal show on Halloween night in the courtyard of Vlad's castle with Slayer, Megadeth, I mean the whole 9 yards, man. Gojira, and just do this amazing concert in the courtyard and invite people into the castle.
Fuck it, I'm going to buy lottery tickets. I want to go too.
I think that would be the most epic metal event to ever exist. And that's kind of my thing. Like I get excited about iconic venues, right? So like the Whiskey was an iconic venue for me. Triple B was a little bit of an iconic venue because it's on Fremont Street. But even overseas, like I was looking at the Underground in London. Want to play there someday. I was looking at, it's in Glasgow. I can't remember the name. It was a very famous venue where like Oasis got discovered, you know, and Glasgow has a really good music scene. But it just... What's that famous Irish bar? See, I'm on the spot now, so I can think of it. But, yeah, just iconic venues around the world, you know, so I can be like, yeah, we played here, we played there. There's one called the Tunnels in Aberdeen, way up there in Scotland, that it's underneath the bridge of the city, and it's a semicircular paved brick room. So just imagine, you know, the acoustics just playing heavy metal and reverberating through that hall, that raw energy, you know, once again, right? And so, yeah, stuff like that for me. What about you?
Oh, man. I have a good friend of mine who lived in Germany for many years, and he played a lot of venues out there. And actually, him and his wife are going on tour this winter. And just some of the venues he I don't know, I can't tell you what venues he'd say, but just the iconic history on some of these buildings that are out there. Like
Right.
somewhere in Germany, somewhere in Europe. Like, it'd just be awesome. Some of the stuff, places he mentioned, somewhere out there.
Cool. I have a strange idea. I'm weird. I'm sorry. I'm weird.
Oh, we all are, man.
I'm
It's
always,
okay.
and it's always going to happen. So get used to it. I would like to do call it a rooftop tour,
Okay.
and do shows on iconic rooftops all around the world.
Oh, wow.
Just put up a chain link so nobody can get thrown off the roof.
Right.
But set the band up, and it's obviously limited by numbers, because
Yeah.
depending on the size of the roof, of course. But
Sure.
And then the people down below just get to listen and wish they were up there.
Yeah. Yeah. That
You'll
was
watch a bunch of people walking around going,
with all the lights and noise going on, yeah.
So you're not talking about high-rise rooftops, kind of like lower buildings.
I don't know.
Like
It depends.
Like Chili Peppers had that video where they're playing Venice Beach. It's kind of the same thing.
I think-
Everyone's walking around, just, who's up there?
Didn't you two do that too?
You two
They had
did
a-
that in
yeah,
LA also?
In LA, they did a rooftop show.
There's been a bunch. There's been a few.
I like what Gojira did for the Olympics, man. Had them playing on the side of the castle. That was
Yeah.
pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that
I
was
like,
super
wow.
I can't think of his name offhand. Used to be the number one DJ in the world. Did a show during COVID in Florida on the pool deck, and all the towers were around that area. And
Jimmy Buffett?
No, it was a
Margaritaville?
EDM DJ.
Oh, okay.
And he did, but everybody was watching from the rooms in the towers. They were all
Oh.
condos.
It's kind of like that new casino. Have you seen the idea? Was it the V? They're going to call it right off of the 101, right where they got the Hot Wheels park right next to it. They're building.
Oh, okay.
Over there in Glendale.
At the Desert Diamond.
Yeah. So this new venue, apparently in the pool area, they actually have a stage that rises up out of the pool that the
Okay.
band plays at, and all the rooms around the hotel can watch, kind of like the Hard Rock in Vegas,
Okay.
right? Kind of the same thing. So there you go. That's a good venue that we'd like to play here,
Other
I
than
think.
coming up out of the water, sounds like Mandalay Beach as well. So that's definitely cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything with the water.
A bunch of shows there too.
If you could collaborate with anyone.
So my big vocal influence on the metal scene is Howard Jones from Killswitch Engage, and that guy is just an incredible singer, and his presence and everything. I would love to do something with him. God, I mean that's a long list, man. There's a long list of artists that I would love to play with. In Flames, collaborate with them. Yeah, it really just depends, on what they want. I'd even do a song with a rapper, honestly. If they want to do like a new metal style song, I'd be down for that,
Okay.
It's got to be good. We're not just going to stop it together, but, yeah, I'm open to collaborating with all kinds of people, honestly. Anybody I look up to, obviously, I'd love to play with them or do something with them. But
Yeah, that's a great question. There's way too many.
You got to
Awesome
give me at
influences,
least
man.
one. The very first one. There can be hundreds,
I know.
but the very first one. Who's the one that sticks out the most?
I was a kid, like I said, watching Steve Harris every damn day. Like something with Iron Maiden.
Okay.
I don't know.
Cool. That works.
where you at, Bruce? Let's do it.
Let's see. Knowing the differences between older music careers and music careers today, what would you consider a successful music career today? Because back then everything was gold records, platinum records.
Label deals.
How many people have had diamonds? 3 or 4?
Yeah, not
Maybe.
many. Not
Yeah.
many at all.
I mean, there's a lot of, nowadays it's a lot of social media influencers. You know, some kids release a couple of songs and they just boom blow up. And there's a huge difference.
we had one hit wonders as well, but
Yeah.
I'm talking because back then it was big to get signed and play that game, and
Yeah, I mean, you had everything. I mean, you had the albums and you had the artwork, and you sit there as a kid and you're reading everything, like who are they thinking, and who are the influences, and you're just reading the whole freaking inlay. You're reading the lyrics that are in there, and you can't really do that anymore. You just pop Spotify and like, all right, let's see what this band sounds like. Oh, it's not cool, and,
Shuffle.
I don't know, man. I mean, as a kid, I'm probably giving my age out here, but it's one of those things like you used to love going to the record store and just checking out the albums, and then like, wow, look at this thing, and
Yeah.
then CDs came out, and not as cool, but
Still had the artwork and the booklets.
You still had the little books that you can read, and
Gem
check out the
cases. Yeah.
info. Man, just a lot of that's gone away, but now it's live music. You go to the venue and see what kind of product the band puts out. If the band's great live, it's awesome. I mean, I've gone to so many shows in my life growing up. That's like my vice, is going to go see live shows. And there's some big bands that the music's great, freaking awesome, and then you go see them live and you're just like kind of disappointed. You're like, really? You're not gonna?
Oh yeah.
right.
You're gonna put anything out? And then there's other bands I've seen that or heard. I'm like, oh, let's go check them out. And then you see them, and wow, you're just blown away. You're like, holy shit, that was badass.
That happened to me with Papa Roach. I just got back from the military, and we went to, what was that event that KUPD does every year?
UFest?
UFest. So my buddy's like, hey, welcome home. Dude, UFest, you're going to love it. So we go, and they had All That Remains playing, and they had Papa Roach playing. So All That Remains, the first time I heard them, and they're good, very good. I'm like, man, wow, that was intense. I'm like, how's Papa Roach going to follow up with that? I'm like, that was pretty crazy. Man, wow. That's all I can say is wow, the production quality. I was like, I was blown away. And at first I was like, there's no way with the energy and intensity of All That Remains that Papa Roach is going to top it. And man, they blew it out of the water. And I was blown away. It was awesome.
We just saw Alice Cooper last week.
Yeah, we did. We went and
Right.
saw Cooper down at was it Wild Horse?
Yeah, the Wild Horse.
I don't know. I would say for me, you said, what do you consider like a successful music career? Is if you can do this, it's different to everybody. I would say if you have the ability to make a living off of your music and travel and get that authentic experience of the fans and everything, that to me would be making it. If I can pay my bills and just play music, I would be happy, And it seems like back in the day when you had these labels and they were like, oh, we're putting you on tour, we're putting you here, we're putting you there. And now kind of being new to the industry, right, as a metal musician, a metal artist, now a lot of it's like everybody wants you to do it all yourself. And it becomes a thing. It's like, well, why work with you guys, right? Like, what's the point? If you expect us to book everything, expect us to do everything, where's the leverage to be like, oh, we should sign with you? Why? Like, what's the point?
Right.
If you're just going to keep putting it back on us, you might as well do it yourself. And so I feel like the label services have really just become antiquated and started the good old boy partnerships with the distributors like Spotify and stuff like that. And so now they're just helping each other out, and the new talent and artists coming up, they have to fight through that. It's like ice skating uphill because they have artists that they want to push. They're going to push them through the algorithms. They're going to push them because they have ownership, right? The labels actually bought ownership into Spotify. And so they're going to push their agendas before some indie guy coming up going, these guys are going to be somebody. They already have people they're making, right? And so at least that's my point of view, right? And I could be completely wrong. I'm still extremely new in the industry, and not to piss anybody off out there in the label industry, but that just kind of seems like the vibe nowadays. It's like, well, do it yourself. And it's like, oh, okay. What happened to that dream of, oh, I want to be signed to Sony. Oh, I want to be on Metal Blade Records. Like I want to be a label artist, and that all that comes with it of getting put on tours and getting put on shows, and then getting that kind of disappointing news where it's like, no, you got to do that, you got to find the shows, you got to book the tours. It's like, well, what's the point? Just to slap your sticker on, I don't get it.
Right.
And physical sales have gone away too. Now that they've bought into the digital, sphere, it's all about plays, and so really it becomes just a big marketing game at this point. How well can you sell your brand?
So, what would be your outcome or decision on the fact that if a chunk of the industry started to just break away from the digital realm and just go back to analog? And
I don't know if it's ever going to be possible to go back or separate, because even if you went analog, say we just sold CDs and we sold vinyls, right, which we want to do, we want to have vinyls available and CDs and stuff, but because of social media, you're always forever going to be tied to that digital realm. Even if you do all analog sales, you still have to push and promote that brand, and when you do that, you're going to have to dub your song over on your videos. You're going to have to push that too. I think it would be neat, honestly. I mean, the short answer, to have people that are enthusiastic enough and love the music enough and like the artwork and the feel of having a physical copy, that would be really cool, I think. But as far as that's a tough one. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, same boat.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be really cool. I'd love to be a part of that movement, but you would take major artists with that pull to be like, we're gonna do this. Right, because otherwise, if you start an indie movement, everybody's like, "Yeah, we're going to do it together." Everybody's going to go, "That's really cool," but anyway, so Spotify and all these numbers, right? And so there has to be. It's a music business, and that's the part I think a lot of people don't think about. Is there's got to be money behind it. There's got to be a money to a reason why everybody's doing something, and I think that's what changes the difference between hobbyists and professionals, right? It's a business. You have a brand. You have to push that. You have to market. And I'm just wondering if it would be too difficult for people to start a movement like that and then be able to push their brand in the same manner, if that makes sense.
I understand what you're saying, but I also think personally, the removing from the digital aspect and forcing the music back into where it originally came from, would it would devastate the industry, but not on the band side.
No,
I think it would be a phenomenal thing if it was like a blanket occurrence. Yeah, because you want new music, now what do you got to do? Well, you got to learn to do it how we used to do it.
Right.
You got to go to the venues. And that's the thing. That's why nobody is coming to venues and looking for new bands.
That makes sense.
Labels aren't coming to the venues and looking. They're looking at your socials and looking how many followers you got. They're looking at Spotify. How many listens do you have? And I'm like, okay, do you know that you just announced a band that had 30,000 followers, but their last post only had 5 likes?
Yeah.
Bet those 30,000 followers aren't real, because you can buy those.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Now you're having smoke blowing up your ass, and you're buying it, and and people are getting raw deals in it.
Yeah.
But
when you put it that way, I agree. I do agree with that, because there is a lot of fronting, right, going on and fake marketing. It does drive me crazy when you put all these blood, sweat, and tears into writing this good music that you want to put out there and share with people, and then you go to talk to a promoter or a venue, and they're like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm Mike, or I'm Ben with Deadly Virtues. We'd love to play this venue. Check out our music." And they go, "Cool. So what's your followers? What's your Spotify numbers?" It's like, well, you haven't even heard our music yet. And that, I feel like, needs to go back to good music needs to be put out there, right? And people will come. But if you're basing it off of just how many numbers they have, and because like you said, 30,000 followers, and they go put on a show and 10 people show up, And they're like, what happened? You had 30,000 followers, or their music's terrible, right? And you have all these falsified numbers. They get on a show, and they're like you said, you see somebody like they're terrible live, right? But then all these good bands and amazing artists out there are not getting the opportunity because they don't have these numbers, right, that these venues and labels are looking for. And so on that, I agree with you 100% on that aspect. I think back when I ran events in the Latin dance world, right, way long time ago, I as a promoter for events, when I brought in acts or performers, I tried to find the best talent I could to put on the best show that I could at the event that I was running. It wasn't about what can you bring. It wasn't about who can you bring with you. It was, I want the best, and I will market these acts and these artists to get people in the door. And now it's just a numbers game of, well, if you don't have this many followers, we're not going to put you on stage. It's like, you haven't even listened to our music yet, man. Like, it might be the best thing you've seen since sliced bread, and you're passing it up because of some BS number online, you know? And so,
Right.
yeah, I agree with you in that instance, absolutely.
Is there anything in the industry today that you would change?
God, no. It's like I don't want to say anything. Just whether it's music industry, whether it's medical industry, whether it's, there's always politics involved.
Yes.
So a lot of it's going to be who you know,
Right.
who's gonna move up ahead,
Networking.
all the networking.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, unless you got a really, really good product and people just buy into it, cool. Unless you got connections and people help you out, that's the other way around. So I mean, it's with any business, any
Right.
career, I guess you would
Well,
say.
like we talked before outside when you first showed up, you missed it. Back in the mid to late 60s when the record labels went to D.C. and got the royalties instated, nobody told radio, nobody told bands. They didn't tell nobody. So when they went to D.C., they got what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they screwed everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And is there a way to undo that?
So kind of like we were talking about ascension, right? Like going to the top. I'm going to do what I have to do to get Deadly Virtues where I want Deadly Virtues to be. And that's the mentality I have with that. Now, I would love to network. I would love to work with bands and make it a win-win, because good business, music business, is all about win-win for everybody, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to count on you guys to help me get there. And if I have to go buy out a venue on my own and sell a ticket, I'll do it if I have to. And I think that's kind of what it's coming down to is if it's not going to be a healthy environment for you to grow, create it yourself, right? And say, you know what? Big middle finger to you guys. I'm going to do it myself and go make it happen. Go do it. I mean, it's definitely possible. Persistence and consistency, you can make it. You can get there. I truly believe that. But I would be nice to see more of that, I would say. More of people being like, we're going to make it happen instead of trying to, rely on the existing infrastructure, if that makes sense. Kind of goes back to around what we were saying about having like venues or an area in town specifically for that. You're absolutely right. We need that. We desperately need that. And I think that might be the way to get it started is, I don't know if you find capital investors or angel investors, do rounds of whatever you got to do, talk to bar owners, be like, let's get a plan together. I know way back with Brian, when we were getting this started, we wanted to do Deadly Virtues Metal Festival at Tempe Beach Park once a year and have all local metal bands play for a day or two all day, have vendors out there and everything to inject life into the metal, music scene in general, but the metal scene specifically, and try to get some synergy going, with all these different acts. Because it seems like you got tribal stuff going on down in Tucson. You got all the hardcore and deathcore kids down in Tucson doing their thing. Here in Phoenix, you got a lot of 80s style, bands, both cover and original. And it would be nice to see everybody come together and create one hell of a community, right? For live music, for musicians, not just in the metal community, but as a whole, and maybe I'm living under a rock. Maybe I haven't gotten the message, but to date, I haven't seen any festival. I mean, like you have the Innings Festival and stuff like that that's ran by, the Live Nations and all that stuff. But I mean like a raw, big scale festival for just Arizona artists. I haven't seen one. So if anybody out there's listening, let's make it happen,
Absolutely.
Stomach's growling.
So if you happen to have a writer's block, how do you cope with that?
Walk away. Walk away. Just like I was talking about earlier, you know, when you sit down to paint a portrait, you don't say, I'm going to force myself through it. You go until the art has stopped, the passion has stopped.
Right.
And if you have to force it, well, we all know where that went. So, yeah, it's like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably not what you want.
Right.
But, yeah, don't be afraid to take a break. And I think that's a big thing with a lot of artists and people writing is they're like, I have to finish this song. I have to do it. And don't get me wrong, on a business end, right, you have to put deadlines or else you're never going to get anywhere because you're just going to start rewriting and it's never going to come out. And don't get me wrong, I am extremely proud of our album that came out, and there's a lot of times that I listen to it and I'm blown away. But there's days I turn it on and I hate it. I turn it on, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Like, why didn't I redo this? Why didn't I change that? And I think that's part of just being an artist in general is like, it's never going to be perfect. And so you have to learn to live with the imperfections that you create. And yeah, if you got to force it, don't. Put it down, walk away. And I forget who I heard this from, but you have to live life to produce art because art imitates life. And so go do stuff. Go live life. Go experience things, and
experience something that's going to make you want to write a lyric to it.
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And it could be good. It could be bad. You know, we don't pick the bad ones, but you can pick the good ones, right? And so, yeah, I would say get out there. And live life.
Sometimes there's a place for the bad ones.
Oh yeah, of
know.
course, absolutely.
Other than the typical or average, don't give up. You know, sing true to your heart. Any other advice, musical advice given to you?
Given to us?
Have fun. You know, it's just have fun with it. You know, don't stress it. You know, I mean, yeah, I remember when I first started playing. You know, it was, you know, a little punk ass kid in El Paso. You know, I think the whole Seattle scene was blowing up.
Right.
You know, so, you know, everyone's getting together, trying to get shows, and, you know, and we'd only do like little mini tours, but, you know, nothing major. But, you know, you go to cities like Marfa and Odessa to get your money because you got to play some covers, and then you go to cities like, you know, Austin and San Antonio to play, and, you know, you're playing a venue with 6-7 other bands, and there's like 5 people there, and you're like,
Help
hey,
this
what's
out.
going on? You know? But, you know, but the, you know, talking with, you know, friends and stuff as you're growing up, it's like, hey, you want to have fun with it, because if you're forcing yourself into it, you know, I mean, I've got a couple friends in the music business, and they, you know, some guys have struggled and some guys have done pretty good for themselves, and you know, it's one of those, you said, you win the lottery or you don't. But as long as you're comfortable and having fun with it, that's been my thing, you know, because it's, I won't say it's like a drug, but it's like, makes you feel good when you play.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on stage or in your room, just jamming out. It's like, for me, music's just a whole different outlet.
Yeah.
You know,
Therapy.
Kind of like singing in the shower.
Amen.
Yeah, if that's what it takes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If that's where you get it, get it.
Hey, get it where it goes, you know. So I kind of what he said, you know, it wasn't music related, but back in my dance days, right? We did a show at the New York Hilton for the New York Salsa Congress, right? And
Oh, wow.
we're getting ready to go on, and anybody who's out there, Latin dancers, right? Probably not many on metal radio shows, but yeah, we went to go on, and Eddie Torres, who's the king of Mambo, right? He just went on before us, and he came up the scaffolding and the backstage before he went on. And they have, you know, at the Grand Hilton in New York City, I mean, you got the terrace, and there was thousands of people. It'd be huge, bright lights. It was so cool. I'll never forget. He came up, and he was probably, God, I don't know, in his 60s at that point. You know, he's getting up there. And he looked at me and my best friend, and he looked at us, and he slapped us both on the cheeks. He goes, boys, and he hits us on the face. He goes, remember, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. And I stick with that, absolutely. You know, people will see your authenticity. Don't try to be something you're not. Go be you. Go have fun. and go be passionate about what it is you do. If you're not having fun with it, you're forcing it again. Yeah, well, we just
Right.
get back in the
There's
circle.
that damn circle.
The full circle.
Okay, so we got a new single coming up the end of May.
Yes.
And what else? You got any shows lined up other than wait a minute? You got any shows lined up?
Yeah, we got the 44 right.
Okay, 44. Yes.
April 25th. We're trying to get something booked in either Vegas or San Diego for May, and I think that's the hardest part right now is because as a new act, it's all marketing. We're just market. Numbers, listens, plays. God, man, like we just want to play, But with that, it's difficult because when you start bringing in all the gear and you bring all the professional stuff, and as you get more honed as a professional act, it costs money.
Right.
And so, we drop a few $100s every time we step on stage before we even get reimbursed. And so a lot of bands are like, hey man, let's play this weekend. It's like, it's not that easy, man. Like we eventually we got to start making money at this, right? Because I can't just keep losing hundreds of dollars every show, right? Because we have hired guns. We have musicians come in, and they're incredible, and I'm very grateful to have them. But the business side of it, we need to find a path to start making money with it too, right?
Right.
And
well, that's the ultimate goal in
Of
anything that we do.
of course,
But
yeah.
These two professions probably a couple of the hardest ones to do
Oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But we're trying, and I think quality over quantity is the name of the game for us right now, because we could play the tap room every 7 weeks, right? Or we could play, we got asked to actually go back to the tap room like a month after we just played it. And
Okay.
I said no. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're gonna take a break from the tap room for a little bit, because you don't want to be, oh, it's them again.
Right.
Unless you're a house band, like Motley Crue, right? Was the house band for whiskey, right? The Doors, Chicago, right?
Right.
And so that does work, right? But you don't want to outplay the scene, and I feel like there's a certain, God, I don't want to say threshold. Yeah, I feel like I have to set a certain standard for yourself. Like we're trying to continue going up, right? We don't want to get caught in the circle over and over and over again, right?
Right.
And so I'm not saying we're not willing to. Like, well, I would love to play local venues. Anybody out there that wants Deadly Virtues to play, reach out to us, right? And we would love to talk to you about playing a show. But like Vegas and things like that, I'm actually going out to Vegas for a work conference next week, and while I'm out there at night, I'm going to be going to venues and talking to people. I'll go see Ava at Triple B. I'm going to go down to Vamped, see if I can get the hold of the count, and be like, "Hey, man, let's do a show." And then other not iconic venues, but other local venues in Vegas, or going to, like, I've walked into the Music Box and said, "How do we play here?" Being willing to walk in and talk to those places. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to find promoters that are going to go, yeah, we're going to put you on stage, versus just going to the venue yourself and saying, how do we get on stage with you? And then of course you have the whole psychology behind it, like, hey, we're in a band versus I represent this group, right? That simple change in words, you'll be surprised the difference in response you get just talking to venues. Right? If I reach out to a venue and say, hey, I'm Mike and I'm in Deadly Virtues and we had a new album, we'd really love to play, like, oh, that's cool, man. But if I send that same email to that person, I say, my name is Mike Bobuke and I represent Deadly Virtues out of Phoenix, Arizona, a new metalcore group, the tone has changed. And I think that's the hard part, is getting to those venues or booking those shows with that tone, right, to be taken seriously and not like, oh, it's another garage band or weekender, if that makes sense.
Right. Using the right college verbiage.
Sure, yeah.
Using the big words.
The big boy words. But, yeah, I mean, we're definitely trying. So, yeah, anybody listening out there, hit us up.
I shared it. There was a post that actually broke down the whole pay-to-play thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it now, because it was broken down to the point where even my dumbass could understand it. And it's not pay-to-play if you sell the tickets.
Bingo.
But if you don't sell the tickets, now you got to come out of pocket.
Yes.
Now, and that's on you.
Yes.
Right? So I'm thinking this is an okay thing. This is you're helping promote the show. You're putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Or your ability to sell tickets where your mouth is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If not, then you're putting your money where your mouth is. But,
right.
and again, you know, if you've got hundreds of followers that are going to see your show and you're packing a place out, then something can be said. But again, here, that's the hard part here. Not a lot of people don't go out anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And they only go pack out the big
arena shows and stuff like that. Yeah,
the bigger venues. Yeah. They're not willing to give the scene a chance. They don't want to know what could be next or who could be next, or and I see it from my aspect. Yes, I take pictures of you guys, but I give them back to you. They're you.
Oh, they were phenomenal, by the way. We love the photos. They were great.
Thank you. But it's for you to use to help self-promote, and then, in turn, I get to use it to promote what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
This is the Yeti Radio. I'm trying to help promote our bands to, you know, this is who they are, and this is what they look like, and, you know, sometimes this is what they sound like.
Yeah.
But it's trying to get people out now is just so hard.
It's like pulling teeth.
Especially after COVID.
Yeah.
It's starting to improve, but not, I think, not at a rate that's
not what you'd like to see. Right?
Yeah, definitely not.
Right.
There's been a few shows that I've been impressed, and I'm thinking, okay, we're in the right direction.
Yeah. There's some serious talent here in Arizona. Don't get me wrong. There's some very serious talent here. And what I thought was interesting is, like, you know, you have the local acts that play, you know, that you see, but then there's bands that I didn't even know were from here that are like massive, but they never play here. And so I didn't even know they were here. And then they're like, oh God, they're all from here. Like, this guy has 500,000 followers and subscribers, and they play touring acts, but I've never heard of them. Because, you know, they don't play here in Arizona, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I don't know if that's just because I'm ignorant to the scene. I'm still learning, right? Obviously. But, yeah, ignorant. So it's, I don't know. It's interesting to me. It's, how, that's the $1 million question, is how do you reach those people and incentivize them to want to come out? Get out of your Spotify playlisting and watching Netflix, and go and, like, interact with people, and, you know, have a drink or two, do something stupid, like get out and live life, you know.
Well, and somebody actually asked, a friend of mine was trying to get him to watch one of my shows.
Yeah.
He's like, I have Pandora. I make my own playlist. Why do I need to listen to your show? I'm like, well, for one, you're my friend, or at least I thought.
Thanks, buddy. Wrath.
Secondly, I'm playing shit you're not going to find.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I find something that your new favorite song that you've never heard of, and you don't even know who the band is.
Right.
I don't even get a chance, you know, and that makes me feel for everybody, because it's that hard.
It is tough. It really is. But, you know, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
Oh, absolutely.
Somehow, some way. There is a way.
Yeah. No, but most important, I mean, thank you for having us here.
Yes.
Oh, no, absolutely. My pleasure.
This is our first live interview, so this is a special place in Deadly Virtue's heart, man. It really is. And
always a special place right here, too.
That's it.
That's what this is about.
Yeah.
And like I said, I saw you guys play at the Bike Week competition, and you killed it.
Thank you.
You know,
besides the awful feedback in the beginning of our set, man, as soon as that happened, I was like, we lost the crowd. I'm like, they hate us. They hate us already. Because, oh, man, they had that ear-piercing feedback, and I was like, God, no.
But we had some great comments. So, like,
oh, yeah.
You just did for us. That was real appreciative. You know, it was cool.
It was a great show. It was a lot of fun. We will be back next year for sure, if they'll have us, of course. Right? You gotta get the votes
and get brought back and leave the feedback out.
Yeah.
I don't know, was that on you guys, or was that on?
So I think what happened was Sergio, he uses a DI input for his amp, so an amp effects modeler, And I think they were trying to find a way to tie that into the board, and that just created some really nasty
shit.
So now he plays it through his DI that goes right into my freaking cab, and they can mic the cab like every other cab on the stage. And the simple method, right? Like make it as easy as possible for the venue to just mic it up and go. And I think moving forward, actually, for future shows, I'd like to see 4 cabs up there, bass cab, 2 rhythm that split, so you get a fuller sound, and then a lead cab, and then have them all mic'd. And even if we have a DI, right, that DI still goes into the cab that gets mic'd. And so that way it takes the pressure off of the audio sound engineers to be like, oh man, I got to patch this in here now to the board, and then somebody's trying to figure out, well, what line is it? And then you get, yeah, exactly. So it's...
This shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens. So, but yeah, no, otherwise it was a really cool event. It was a really cool event, and, I'm looking forward to next year. I'll be at Bike Week, so I'm looking forward to seeing the shows and all the bands that competed and play, and, I'm excited to see them do their thing, so.
Well, you'll get to see my alter ego Friday night, maybe even Saturday night.
Okay. Nice. That's what's up.
So, okay. You got the 44 show. You got a song coming out the 31st, May 31st, single.
Yes.
Off the new album. Is there a plan on the rest of the releases before the album release? Or
so typically I like to do what's called a waterfall release. And so what we like to do is get ahead of the curve, and have a couple songs written. We're going to release the first single, then 3 months after, release another single, then another single, and then maybe one more, and then it's like, okay, the rest of the album release date is this date. And so that way you kind of build people up, like, oh man, what's next, and then boom, here's the rest of it, check it out. And then you dump the rest of them, and then ideally, then you would start to try and tour off of the new album release, right? So like Deadly Virtues came out, we were really nobodies, nobody knew who we were, so we couldn't just go out and be like, yeah, we're booking tours and nobody knows who you are. Like,
right.
You're trying to find people that want to hear you, And so now that we're starting to build a little bit of a fan base, it's going to be a lot cooler to be like, hey guys, new single coming out, check it out, and then, we got another one, and then boom, album drop date, and hopefully time release it over 6 months to your album drop, say next year when we release the album, right? And then you start lining up shows, typically 9 months, 8-9 months in advance, right? For venues and stuff like that, especially traveling. And then just push that for a year and a half. We'll start bleeding our singles into our set lists, right? When we're playing live, so be like, hey, this is coming off of the new album, check it out. Pre-release, fans or super fans that subscribe and stuff like that, releasing the songs to them first, to give some exclusivity to it. But that's usually, Record Union, who we use for our distribution over, I think, Denmark, Sweden, something like that.
Okay.
That's what they called it. I guess it's the same thing that Imagine Dragons did. It's like a waterfall release technique.
Okay.
I don't know. Sound fancy, so
I
just remembered it. Waterfall release.
All right.
But yeah,
T-shirts involved.
Yeah.
Not a view.
Right. Well, we got that's the other thing is album artwork. Like we used AI, right, for our first album artwork, and it actually came out great. And then I was the one who placed.
I used it for the background for.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I set in the logo and all that stuff, right, and the name of the album. But I think this time around, I'm gonna go to tattoo shops and I'm gonna talk to artists. I'm gonna say, here's $50. Can you draw me up 2 pictures or 2 concepts, and find a concept art that we like the most, and go, cool, man, I'm going to pay you another couple $100, and you're going to sign it. That's going to be our album cover, and then take that route. And since it's called Capitula Vitae, the 2 ideas that I have right now is either like a kind of an open chest inkwell, so your guy's got a quill and he's dipping into his heart to write the book right in front of him.
All right.
Or the other idea is like a centric circle with concentric circles going around it, and in the middle is like a tree of life that delves into like Dante's Inferno, so you kind of see like the whole, top to bottom, and then each concentric circle around it is phases or chapters, right?
Wow.
So you have like a child, and then you fall in love, and then you have loss, all the way until you're an old man, and then death, right? And so it's kind of the cycles of life, the chapters of life. And so I'm excited to go talk to some of these tattoo shops and be like, wait,
that's a vision.
hopefully. I mean,
That's definitely a vision. I'm sitting here going, wow. Okay, let's talk about the self-titled single. Well, the self-titled, yeah. Deadly Virtues.
yeah.
What was that?
Oh man, that was the first. That was the first of the firsts. That was the first song written, and originally we're gonna say Deadly Virtues with our new self-titled album, Deadly Virtues with our new single, Deadly Virtues.
I have seen that, and yes, I did comment on it.
I was like, man, that's pushing Spinal Tap territory. Like maybe that's not a good idea. It's like on the lead bass and the supporting bass and the bass synth and so yeah, Deadly Virtues. You know, we thought it was easy to be like, what? How do we represent why the name is the name that it is, right? And if you read the lyrics and you listen to the lyrics of the song, you know, I still can't think of the fancy term for it. Secular humanism?
Damn, that's where my
maybe, but basically,
Nope, didn't see that one coming.
well, it was kind of like the concept of, you know, how people you hear this NPC thing that people talk about now, right? Like non-playable characters is a joke that they say about going out in public and be like, oh, they're NPCs, and the dehumanizing of other people and aggrandizing yourself over others, like I'm the most important thing. Well, sure, your life, you know, do what you want, but don't think that you're more valuable than other people, right? It's everybody's trying to live life and do their thing, you know, and so that's kind of self-aggrandization and hedonism and things like that is kind of where that came from. So
I was envisioning the 7 deadly sins and the virtues of that. So that's just at first look, and you know, okay, this could be interesting. So,
yeah.
And it is. Better than I was going.
Well, the other thing we get is Deadly Virgins. A lot of time they're like, "What's the name of the band?" Deadly Virgins. I'm like, man, that was kind of a good one too. Maybe you should have stuck with that. But yeah, it just Deadly Virtues stuck, and
Deadly Virgins artwork. Wow, that's a mental image I don't need.
I won't be going to tattoo shops for those.
Wow, Mamma Mia!
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe we'll do a spinoff.
Well, thank you guys for accepting and coming and hanging out. And,
no, thank you.
It's been a blast, and you're welcome anytime. Get ready to do that single, or
yeah, if you want to have us back when the single comes out.
If you do a music video, or if you do when you get ready to drop the album, whatever you want.
Yeah,
we'll see if we make it happen and get back in here and have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for inviting us and having us over, and thanks for the props at the Harley.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for driving from Yuma.
Gets me out of the house and lets me ride my bike. Man.
I'm like, I'm coming back from Yuma. Oh, okay, well, you're from up here. You were down. No, you're from Yuma, driving up here for it. Shit.
I was coming home from Yuma last night. Oh man, yeah, it's been great,
ladies and gentlemen. Deadly Virtues. Check them out on all your streaming platforms. Check them out on all their social media. Here they are with their self-titled single, Deadly Virtues, right here on the Yeti Radio in the Backstage Lounge.
What is this place I recognize no more? The
Deadly Virtues in the Backstage Lounge on the YetiRadio.com. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one, and we shall see you on the rebound on the next one, right here on the YetiRadio.com.
Welcome to the Backstage Lounge on the YetiRadio.com.
Now, the rest of the story.
The Yeti Radio, powered by DavidLeeImaging.com. David Lee Imaging in the Titletown Music Archive and the Live 365 app.
It's alive!
The Yeti.
We can all be quiet and peaceable and have a few beers together and listen to the music.
The Yeti.